Hey, Steve. All right, let's see. I can't hear you yet. Let's see if you're. All right. I'm going to go to gallery view. I can't hear you yet. I don't know if you can hear me. There we go. Hey, man.
Maybe now.
Yeah, we're good.
All right. I hit the
All right,
right
you're the
button.
first person in.
Yeah.
Yeah, thought we'd do a bonus one. You know, you and I will do the super secret cool kid one, but kind of wanted to do one for everybody and just kind of let everybody see.
Yeah,
Welcome
that's a
to my new space.
cool little meetup. Yeah. Good idea.
Yeah. So this is my my space that I'm writing in right now. This is the less glamorous view. You know, the view that I've shot and done some stuff on so far has been, more this angle. So it's all the cool stuff. This is kind of the area that I'm still figuring out how to decorate. But
Yeah, you got some blank walls there for sure.
yeah, but it's good. So how you been?
Good. Being busy. Just got called back to work this weekend for bartending at our casino that's going to try to open up Monday. So we'll see how that goes.
Gotcha. Are are you going to offer like the full bar program? Are you going to try to whittle it down? How you going to handle that?
Well, we had 2 hours of training of wearing our mask and washing our hands.
Yeah.
It's in a restaurant style part of the casino, so they're only going to do takeout food. As of now, you can't sit in and eat, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
But we had about 1,000 question for them, us as workers returning after the furlough, and they had no answers. They're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, well, let's think of that." Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
see.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Like,
feel like that we all are trying to do the best we can and figure out how to do things. My office space here is above the Empire Market here in Joplin. So it's our city market, which I'm not. I think my wife's going to bop on, and our friend Ivy Hagedorn is going to bop on, but they run the market together, and you know they're getting a lot of those questions right now. They're getting the is how are we going to do this? How are we going to approach this? What's safe, what's not? And it's interesting because it's like for everything that you think that you've covered, everything that you've been like, okay, we've got this figured out. Somebody asks a very, very good, terrifying question. Let's
yeah.
see. Oh, there's Ivy. Okay. Hey, we're going to admit Ivy. Ivy. She's got a cool Empire Market thing. It's always funny. You get that connecting to audio, and then you get the little bouncy thing. All right, Ivy, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Excellent. You got a fancy Empire Market logo instead of a face.
I do.
That that works. It's super cool, kid. We were actually just talking about the market and about you and about opening. Like Steve is a bartender and works at the casino. What town is it again? Sorry.
I'm about an hour north of Green Bay here in Wisconsin. So it's Carter Casino up here north woods.
And he was just talking about the some of like they're getting ready to kind of slow roll the reopen and all the questions that they had for the casino, like how do you do this and how do you do that. I was telling him you guys have run into a couple of those issues yourself.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely never boring anymore. So
So
Something
we
new.
got Eric coming in. Eric. Awesome. Eric, hey, how's it going?
Hey,
Thanks for joining us.
yeah. Never been on one of these before for Patreon.
Well, first time for everything. I appreciate that you got your good drink there. Let's go. Amber's here, joining up. Amber. Hey, how's it going? I think you got yourself muted, Amber. So you can, yeah. Wow, so this is a good crew so far. Thanks, everybody. Well, oh, and Lori's here. This is wow. Okay, we're gonna meet the whole crew. All right. I like that Lori and Ivy have zero interest in actually being on screen. They're like, nope, we're not doing this.
Hey, there you are.
Yeah. All right.
yeah.
Erica's here. Oh, this is getting good. Oh, you always get that like connecting to audio. Is it gonna?
I put mine on mute so that it wouldn't start talking immediately, but you can change it in the settings.
Lori's on here twice somehow, which is kind of amazing.
I'm on twice.
Yeah, we got Lori's iPhone, and then we've got Lori's iPhone. I don't know how that works.
Well, I'm on my phone twice because I had to go back out and into settings to turn the video on because I don't think I've used Zoom on my phone before.
Gotcha.
Oh, Lori's iPhone left.
Okay.
Looks like I left.
Yeah.
I decided I wouldn't be able to see anybody if I did it on my phone, so I put it on the computer.
Gotcha.
I was too lazy to find my computer. My iPad was dead.
Yeah. Hey, since everybody's getting on here, I'm gonna make my drink really fast. So I did this at home before I came over. For those of you that are just joining, this is my new office space, my writing space at the Empire Market, and you can see based on Ivy's logo that she is the Empire Market. So
And Lori's wearing her Empire Market shirt. So.
oh yeah, see, cool kids. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, so I made a old-fashioned variation. This is made with Johnny Walker Red Scotch with a bit of peaty Scotch kind of thrown in to give it a little flavor, and some cinnamon simple syrup, and some orange bitters, and then a bit of rosemary. So this is my cocktail hour. Now, Eric, we already saw that you've got more water than a single man can drink.
I mean, everything's possible with time.
Well, you know what? You got to stay hydrated. My 15-year-old has an amazing. He always has like a jug of water in his room, like that, and I'm just like, you got to. It's actually smart. It's better than having to walk downstairs every single time you need a little something. So, well, that's pretty good. I mean, if I do say so myself, right? Yeah, like your own thing. So, Steve, I just want to. Ever since you got on, you were the first one on. I wanted to comment on what an awesome shirt you're wearing.
Yeah. I got twin daughters, and one of them, we were going through the laundry yesterday and folding them up. And she says, "Oh, you gotta wear this." I'm like, "Oh, it's a little fancy. I don't know if I can wear it." And then she found it today. She goes, "Here, you can wear this today." And I'm like, "Thanks." All right.
I mean,
Stripes are nice. Like the stripes.
your daughter has excellent taste. How about that? Like she knows what's up.
Yeah, they're Star Wars fans, so yeah, yep.
Good. I'm also an advocate of yellow shirts. If you can't tell, You know, I do love yellow shirts. This one's actually one that I designed. This is my own shirt. Yeah, that's right. I'm basically like a band wearing their own shirt today. It's the one I designed. It was forever ago when I was working for DC Comics. I did Arkham Asylum, or like not Arkham, but like it was called Arkham Reborn ultimately because they felt like there was too much brand confusion. But David Hine and I did that together, and when I did it, I designed these just for fun, these Arkham badges for all like the employees of Arkham. And I ended up giving those to all of editorial, all in the Bat Office. I just sent them their own personalized badge, and they loved that. And for some reason, and I don't know what happened with it, everything, they really liked me doing stuff like that. And so for a minute, they were like, let's have you do a package of like Gotham assets. So I designed those badges and I sent them to them. I designed a series of like billboards and stuff to kind of go around Gotham. And one of the billboards that I designed was for the Man Bat exhibit. And so this was a from the Bat exhibit. I never, I don't know whatever happened to that stuff. They actually paid me for that stuff, to do it. Like they gave me a little bit of money, but they just never ended up quite using it around. So it was kind of.
Sorry, but a Man Bat exhibition just raises so many questions.
Mm-hmm.
So many questions about that zoo.
Yeah, I don't know. Actually, you know what? When I find that stuff, Amber and I can look for that tonight. And when I find that stuff, I'll actually make a special Patreon post featuring all of my stuff from the Man Bat exhibit. It was, well, not the Man, but just all of that package of Gotham City stuff. I think there was like.
I think I know where it is. Actually.
You do? Okay, cool. Yeah, because yeah.
I went through and alphabetized everything in there, so I probably put it with the other Manhunter stuff or the Arkham stuff, one of the two.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So those of you who don't know, this is actually a cool little extra thing. So Amber's my studio mate. So we work together in my studio, and basically everything that I produce on some level, she has a hand in. She basically helps make my world a lot easier. Hey, we got Mark Sable in. All right, here we go. Bringing Mark in. Let's see.
Hello?
Hey, just when I thought you couldn't get more handsome, let me see that beard.
This is the longest it's ever been.
You know
Hair's
what?
a little bit out of control too. I should try to tame it, but
I think you're giving me a run for my money. Can we, since I guess we can talk a tiny bit, we can hint about it at least here while we're talking with everybody. But since we're working together on a new project, we could we should just get the very similar beard thing going. Yeah, I think that would be delightful. Did you actually just take it off so you didn't have to look at yourself? I feel like that's a real jerk move, Mark. But yeah, Mark and I are working on a new project together that we can't really talk about. But
sorry,
I
cut out for a second. I got a call,
Gotcha.
so I couldn't. Hey.
But yeah, so I was just telling everybody that Amber, who's on here, Amber and I work together in the studio, and
Hi, Amber.
yeah.
Hey.
So basically, everything that I do, she kind of makes possible and makes a lot easier. My world is pretty ridiculous, and without her help, generally, I'm pretty lost. So I'm always grateful for that. Oh, Lori, you're outside now. That's
I can't see her. Oh, wait, are you looking out the window?
no. She's back now. Yeah, Amber and I, we've been working together for pretty much ever. So she's kind of been there through just about every project that I've done, and a lot of the work that I do is basically made easier because of her. She does all of the, like, when I draw something, she helps me filling in the blacks on the page, scanning stuff, erasing stuff, doing a lot of computer work. She makes my days a lot easier. And she also, at this point, only really probably comes over to the studio to play with my cat. That's pretty sure that's what it is. In fact, I'm pretty sure that's the only reason Ivy or Lori ever come into the studio either, is just to play with my
I mean, he's a very adorable cat, Jeremy.
Well, that's why I started this this call in the studio, because I thought I could pet the cat, but he was being spastic, so I gave up.
Yeah. You're getting to play with your cat, Amber, and that's extra good.
This is
Aww.
Which one is it?
Posey.
Gotcha. How many cats do you have right now?
Ninja. Two that I count.
Okay. Yeah. So what do you have in there, Lori?
Gin and tonic.
Gin and tonic. You're fancy. I like that. And Amber, you're drinking some sort of bottled amazingness. What is that?
Body Armor Light. It's peach mango.
Gotcha.
Sometimes it's really good and other times it's not. But it's okay.
Like the same flavor is good sometimes and sometimes not?
I think it depends on like what you want at the time. And this is really good sometimes and not so great other times. Today it's okay. But I also like brushed my teeth a few minutes ago, so it's not a great idea.
Yeah, I always love, like, I'll be making cocktails and then I'm like, I just popped a mint or a piece of gum or brushed my teeth and I'm like, this is gonna taste terrible for a while. You know, I have to get that neutral base for a drink. So Mark, we can't necessarily really talk about the thing we're doing, but I would love it if in the Vegas, God, you look Mark Maron, you handsome bastard. Good.
I don't know if I've heard those two sentences go together. But
I find Mark, he's a handsome man. So yeah, you just take that.
sure.
You're like a less craggy Mark Maron, though. You're like Mark Maron.
Give me time. I mean,
Yeah. Give you like 6 more months of this craziness out there, and then we'll all look 85 years old. It'll be
I
I
feel
don't know
like
about the rest of you, but I've gotten more gray hair just since this whole thing began.
so much.
It's
this
ridiculous.
is the first time I've ever had. I don't know how much you can see it on here. Like, this is the first time I ever had gray hair. Is just letting this beard grow. Like, I'm very thankful for. I'm pretty lucky. But yeah. Sorry. Go ahead. You were saying
Well,
the biggest possible terms. What should I do?
Yeah. So I don't know. Do you want to? Should we talk very vaguely about that we're getting to work together again and kind of our working together origin story, even like how we started working together years ago?
Like how we met? Yeah. Okay. I think we can talk vaguely that we're working on a project. Can we say where it is? Is that allowed, you think, or not?
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, so it should hopefully be at Comixology Originals. I mean, we signed we're verge of signing that, which I've been very happy with. It's a near future science fiction thing. Would that be okay to say? I think. So yeah, what's our origin story was, from my memory, was we did a book too many years ago. I've been trying to think of what year it came out. Probably 2008, maybe. Two-Face Year One for DC.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Martz and Janine Schaefer were editor. So that was, you know, it was an origin story for Two-Face that coincided with the Dark Knight. So that's what I'm trying to figure out what the year was. And you drew there were flashbacks in the issue. So if Two-Face year one wasn't enough of a flashback, we decided we need to go like, you know, year negative one or something. And they were amazing. And we were supposed to actually have worked on another book. I want to say it was like a Riddler Penguin tie-in to the Grant Morrison. It wasn't Final Crisis, but it was like the Bruce Wayne is dead thing, and then that didn't happen. But for years we've been talking about it. We got to really know each other, in my memory, when we went to Middle East Comic Con in Dubai in 2012, and Lori was there. It was really, it was like a really, it was a really amazing trip. But like we were the only, you know, there were only, how many of us were on that trip? Like as comic creators, it was like maybe 10 people.
Yeah, it wasn't very many of us at all.
Yeah, it was like the first convention in the I believe it's the first convention in the Middle East, certainly in the Arab world. And it was like, we were the only Westerners. And so we all got to know each other really well. It was amazing. Everybody was they really treated us like royalty there. The fans could not have been more gracious, and like, and so I feel like we bonded over that, and we've been friends ever since, and been hoping to work with you. And you've been a busy boy this past, I guess, decade. Not just doing art, but writing. You're a what do they call it? Like a multi-threat, like a triple threat, I guess. I don't know.
I also dance. Yeah. So I write, draw, and dance. That's my. I'm not going to subject any of you to that. Like I promise right now, I could. But,
We'll see where things stand after your
an
second
impromptu
drink.
song, so that's.
I feel like could we bully you into that? Is that
That would be amazing. Do a rap, Jeremy.
Yeah, you know, I feel like that that there are sides of my talents that I need to reserve for just small audiences. And while those of us that are on here, I would say are a good crew, I'm going to save that for later.
I'll get fine.
But so this thing that Mark and I are working on, I don't know, and actually I think more talking about like the shape of kind of how this industry works, and kind of a little bit about what leads to something like this kind of opportunity, especially right now, is pretty important. When most of you know, I've been working on the Final Witness for Valiant, which I'm drawing that, and Ray Fox is writing that project. And it's a big new book, a bold new direction for what they're building at Valiant. It's something that I think is important to the Valiant universe. It's important to what they were building to. It's a pretty exciting project. And then COVID-19 hit. And it actually hit in the month that we were supposed to debut with this book. We didn't have an issue out yet. We had a very, very limited preview that we were getting ready to release at Emerald City Comic Con. It was going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be really cool, and it just didn't. Emerald City didn't happen. And then they decided to hit the pause button on the project, and in fact, all Valiant projects. And I think it's a necessary thing. I think it was, we had no idea what anything held in comics. Companies had to be cautious. Creatives had to be cautious. We had to do things in a completely different way. But one of the things that happened there was, for the first time in my career, in that decade that Mark's talking about, I had a real opportunity to look at my schedule and and say, I'm going to have a window. And I mean, still, as of yet, we don't know if that window is a month, if that's 4 months, 6 months, a year. We don't know what that looks like necessarily, but it's going to be a while before books can be rescheduled and put back on and things like that. And so I think a lot of creatives, I mean, look, we're all kind of confused and we're scared a little bit, and we don't know what the comics industry is necessarily going to look like. But we can either make choices and say, well, you know, I'm going to sit back and like let all of this wash over me, let this happen. Or I can make a choice to be truly proactive and say, what do I want to do? And one of the things that I wanted to do was work on this project with Mark. And Mark and I had been talking about this specific project for probably a year. Is that right? I mean, really?
At least since Thought Bubble, which was in November. So it's at least 6 months that I remember talking to you specifically about this one. And I probably had pitched it to you before that, and I just can't remember. But
I remember a while back, maybe like before Thought Bubble, like I don't, maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like as far back as New York 2 years ago when we were hanging out there, you had mentioned this specific project. You'd mentioned that you had this idea, and you know, I mean, and also, you know, the thing about it is when you have friends in this industry, you know, I talk. There's this line from it's from the documentary making of it's called Full Tilt Boogie. It's the documentary making of the movie From Dusk Till Dawn. And in that, Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez also did an audio commentary. So it's like the thing within the thing within the thing. But in that, they talk about when you're growing up, your best friends, you know, you talk every day on the phone, you hang out, you're together every weekend, you do all this stuff. And then as you become adults, you know, you don't get to spend as much time together. You don't get to see each other. It's only on occasion. And in comics, I really feel like if you want to be able to hang out with your friends, if you want that excuse, you kind of have to work together. Because if you're working together, then you really get to go to all the same shows together. You table together at those shows. You end up, you know, like if I, you know, if Lori can't make it with me to the show, then I can go because I know that Mark's going to be there and we can hang out together, you know, and like, so I think you find that excuse to sort of work together, and, you know, hopefully the project is awesome. And in this case, the project's awesome. As Mark hinted, it's near future sci-fi, which you know, if you've read The Beauty, I think it's very much kind of in the same vein, that kind of slight crime noir, near future thing. It definitely plays, I think, to my strengths creatively. It's something that is. 1 second, I gotta answer the door. I'll be right back. You can. This is another weird thing when Lori shows up.
I can take over for a second.
Yeah.
Just it involves artificial intelligence. I think we can say that, but I think it's a very talking about playing to Jeremy's strengths. It's a very human story, and I think that's something that Jeremy has pushed it in that direction. As we started working, I mean, so I'll say, and I hate when I hear about a comic that started as like, oh, this is a screenplay that didn't sell or something, but it did start with a pilot that I wrote. But Jeremy read the pilot and gave me notes, and I think it's gone in a very, while it's kept some of the core characters from it, it's definitely a bigger story than what I had set out to write initially for a pilot, where you're just kind of setting something up and you don't want to give all this stuff away. So it's just even before Jeremy has drawn a single image, just our conversations about it, and your notes and things like that, it's changed a lot, and I think for the better. I'm it's something that I'm really, really excited about. And it will, of course, change more like once I hand you the script and once, and the more back and forth we do. Yeah, it's interesting because it's funny because I think the trick for me is like, the great thing is it's like, it is working with friends is working with a friend, not only a friend, but like somebody like you that I know as an artist is reliable, is immensely talented, all this other stuff. Like, yeah, it's just a joy to be able to work with, all those things make this a pleasure to work on. But I think the tricky thing is like, yeah, I've wanted to work with you for, for like a decade. And, you've been kind enough to do the covers for 2 Aftershock series, one that's out, God Killers, which comes out next week, if anybody is watching it, issue 3, but another book called Miskatonic, which is like a Lovecraftian book that'll be out in the fall, hopefully. Anyway, it's but the trick for me has always been like, okay, well, I want to work with you, but I also don't want to be that guy. I don't want to constantly be being like, hey, you want to work together? Hey, you want to work together? And like, because our actual friendship is terribly important to me. I can't stress enough. I'm not just saying this. I've told you this in private, but like, you've been nobody's been a better friend to me in comics, and very few even outside of it. So, I never wanted you to feel like you felt this pressure, like, oh, well, I owe Mark or something. And I mean, I don't think you would do that, but at the same time, because it's just devoting to a project like this is just a lot of time, and this is our both of our livelihoods. But I don't know. I'm so thrilled we're working together on it. It just makes sitting. I was writing it last night. I'm gonna be writing it again tonight, and just makes sitting down to do it a lot. Just makes it a lot more fun thinking about it.
Well, thanks. I mean, so first of all, an aside, Erica's kitty just showed up, and so I was like smiling at this cute cat sticking its butt in her face while you're saying something very, very sweet and sincere. So that was I was really torn because I was like,
was so charming.
oh, baby, and yeah, but I mean, as at least 3 people on this chat can attest, I'm a huge asshole. So while I think I'm kind of okay, I'm also not ever going to be somebody that doesn't do something that I want to do. So, look, we're working on this project because we're friends and because I'm excited about the project, and that's the truth of it. I think that, and like one of the things about our careers and the path of our careers as we go, and I'm very, very fortunate to be in the place that I am right now, even with the craziness of the world around us and the unsure nature of this industry. I'm still very fortunate in that I can tell the kind of stories I want to tell. I'm not, even the idea that like, oh, I need a gig, right? Like I need to figure out something. Even within that, I still get to choose, it's still like, hey,
yeah,
do you want to do this?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so I think that there's something to be said for that. I think that there's something to be said for, kind of working with who you want to, the way you want to. And now I wish my cat was here because everybody else is kind of playing with their adorable cats right now. So, but yeah, no, I'm excited about this thing, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think during this, one of the biggest things that I've really dealt with, and I think this is something even like Steve's been doing the level, the Patreon level where we have like once a month we have one of these, and we've been doing that, and it's much more craft based, the conversations that we have, which is really fun. But like one of the things that we talked about during that was always like telling your story the way you want to tell it, and very much being true to yourself as a creative. And no matter where you are in this industry, whether you're getting started, whether you're in, but you're figuring stuff out, whether you've been here forever, you need to tell the kinds of stories you want to tell, and then hopefully everything else will fall into place. I know Amber is an illustrator and a writer. Steve is a writer. We all have to be, Mark, you're a writer too. I don't know, do you know that? You dabble. But like, Eric, do you write?
Trying to get back into that. I did writing in college, and then the bubble burst in 2008.
Right.
And
Okay.
now I'm in IT.
Okay. Hey,
and I write all our help documentation.
Right. Well, you know what? IT is probably extra valuable at the moment, trying to keep all this stuff going while we're in this crazy time. But but I think that's a theme that runs through. It's like you have to do things, and especially right now. Like I looked at, for I've loved seeing those memes about 2019, and it's like a trash fire, and then the trash fire is like, hold my beer 2020, right? Like we literally, in a lot of ways. Hey, Laura, you're back with your drink. Thank you for bringing that. Obviously, we live very close to the market, so she could actually deliver that to me. My computer was about dead, and so she saved my butt. But 2019, and I said this several times, both in the Patreon and publicly and stuff like that. But 2019 was a shit year for me. It was a hard year for us. We were trying to do things, and figure things out. We had some loss in the family and some various things, and then this happened. There was a moment where Lori and Mark and we were all at C2E2, and we were out to dinner. And I will say that if there was a way to say goodbye to conventions, we may have done it in the best way possible.
Oh my God, yeah.
We did. We ate dinner out every night in Chicago at C2E2, and it was like one place was just better than the other. We went to Girl on the Goat. We went to now I'm blanking on everything, but each night we had these amazing dinners, and that was kind of like we were having these conversations about what we wanted our careers to be like. We'd had this rough year, what we wanted, these choices that we were making about the next steps for things. And then, and I'm being a bit hyperbolic with this, but the world kind of ended, right? All this changed, our jobs, all these things. Steve's talked about that, yeah, as a bartender, your job massively changed. There were, those of us were laid off. Eric is a nurse. So, and first of all, thank you for being awesome during all this. You and your crew. I mean, Eric's in Kansas City, in the Kansas City area, and I'm going to be honest. I don't know. I mean, I love you anyway. You're amazing. You've been amazing for so many years, but putting yourself in constant risk to do this stuff, you've been amazing. So thanks.
Thanks.
I mean, I know it was an aside, but I do feel the need to say that. This is, this has been weird, right? And I think that the thing that we have to ask ourselves, and kind of circling back to what I was saying, was who do we want to be and what do we want to be? And that's been the thing that I've thought about so much. I love my kids. I've got 2 boys, 10 and 15. I love my kids. They drive me insane right now. I like the conversation before I came over here to do this. We had the conversation about like, hey, you haven't been doing your chores very well, boys. If they do 6 days of doing their chores, they get a day where they don't have to do anything. There's no requirement for their time. Like they can do whatever they want to do, and that's pretty fantastic. You know, they've not really been doing their chores very well. So I had to have the, hey, tomorrow's Father's Day. I don't want to yell at you on Father's Day. Please do your chores today. We can take the day off tomorrow. It'll be amazing. And, you know, like this has been trying. This has been hard. But I think that for as much as we love our kids, as much as we love our families, we've been isolated. We've been, you know, we've been kind of locked away and having to do things. Some of us even having to still go to work and put themselves at risk during a crazy thing. But I think a lot about like who I want to be and what I want to do and the stories I want to tell. And I think that this is a time where we get to reinvent ourselves and we get to tell, you know, I'm again very fortunate. I can tell the types of stories that I want to tell. And I think I'm done with work that is just work. I think that I'm done, you know, and I think I've been very fortunate again in my career working on the beauty and working on the realm, and then most recently the Red Mother. I am telling the kinds of stories that I absolutely want to tell. I'm not really working on anything that I don't want to, but I still think that there's a reality within the comics industry that even if you're telling those kinds of stories, sometimes you have to stop and tell stories for a paycheck so that you can kind of pay the bills. Because, you know, creator-owned books are fantastic, but you know, the Beauty has run 29 issues. We're having to wait until, you know, we're having to wait a little while to get everybody paid and taken care of and let everybody do the work that they need to do in order to tell issue 30, the final issue of that series. That's kind of crazy and that's hard to do, but that's the reality of it. We want to tell more of the realm and we're working towards telling more of the realm, but we have to make sure that everybody is taken care of during that time. And that's a tricky thing about comics. But one of the things that this time has said to me is, you know, creativity, our time, our emotional energy is precious, and we have to do things the way that we do. You know, I mean, you know, taking it back to Amber, you know, Amber and I work together in the studio a few nights a week, and our work dynamic has shifted a little bit. The work that we're doing, a lot of the stuff that you're actually seeing on Patreon is because Amber is taking all of this stuff I'm drawing and scanning it and uploading it and doing all these things. Really, Amber is my engine that keeps me going with that stuff. But I think about it, and I think about the work that we're doing during that, and like, I always enjoy the time that we work together, but like this has kind of felt like the best time in a lot of ways. During all this other crap, all this other hardship and tough time, like I'm having more fun making stories that go specifically to you all during this. Like I'm doing these short stories and making these things, and then, you know, we're like laughing at the ridiculousness of making a trailer. You know, Amber edited that entire trailer and put that together. Like I love how that came together, and that's literally the two of us sitting there listening to that song over and over again, and you know, making cuts and doing and it turned out the way that it did because of the work that we did together. But like, I've never had more fun in my life than I have had making the anthology stuff. You know, for as ridiculous as that name is, I think it actually stuck. You know, making this stuff for you all and telling, you know, these personal stories. You know, I kind of mentioned it briefly, but like the themes that I'm addressing in each one of these stories are based on feelings and emotions and things that have come up just making things during this time, right? Like, you know, Haster, the first story, really is an examination of loneliness during this time. You know, it's that you still have this need to go out and maybe not be the thrall of an elder god, but you know, you have this need to leave your house and your family that you love more than anything. You still need to be able to like talk to friends or these things. And you know, Kingdom of Dust and Bone is just a little examination, but it's like loneliness and like you know, I see the loneliness more from the point of view of the creature in that story. But each one of these examines something, and this process, making things for you, my audience, during this is kind of keeping me going, and it's keeping me a little bit sane. We've been going for a little while, so if you don't mind, I want to show you, since you're here with me and being awesome and patient, I want to show you a little bit of a sneak peek at some of the stuff I'm doing on these short stories. So one of the shorts, and I know you've kind of seen like little bits on either Instagram or Facebook or on the Patreon page of some of this, but I'm going to show you kind of some of the stuff in process so you can kind of see it. So Monday After Monday is probably as of right now, the most personal story that I'm telling in the Anthology series. It is very much, almost quite literally, me and my son Owen, my 10-year-old, together. But it's weird. It's still very much a strange story, like all of the others are. But it's just yeah. So this story, and you can kind of see here. I'm not going to go too slow. I don't want to give too much away. But you can see, like, literally, I am a character in this story. I'm drawing myself. There's Owen, my little 10-year-old boy. But this story is very much about the two of us. It also has, you can see, it very much has Scotch in it. Yeah. But so this is a page that is blue line penciled digitally on my iPad Pro using Clip Studio Paint. Is that right? No.
I mean, I don't know what it's called on the iPad, but that's what it's called.
Is it Clip Studio Paint?
Yeah.
Clip Studio Paint. I don't know what the hell. Anyway, I'm blanking. I had a drink and I feel really kind of relaxed right now. I'm kind of tired, but anyway, so that's that one. Monday After Monday, I'm not sure if it's going to be, well, so you've got Haster, you've got Kingdom of Dust and Bone. There's one more coming after that called The Shaft, and that's the next one. I'm not sure if Monday After Monday is going to come next or if we're going to do another one in between these. We'll see. But then after that, we've got one called One Summer Night. I've shown you a little bit of that on social media, but actually, I'm only going to show you this page because the reveal is a 2-pager. But you can kind of see this is very much just a personal, first-person point of view of weird stuff that happens walking out of my studio.
And I think I think you're right. I think that first panel would make a cool T-shirt.
I'm trying to figure it out. I want to do.
The right side and just like a word panel here.
I kind of want to do. I don't know, like an oversized print or a T-shirt or something.
Yeah.
My brother and I. My brother's a painter and a hairstylist, and there for a little while, we were going around town. This is in college. This is forever ago. We were going around town taking pictures of telephone electric poles at night and painting them for college projects and stuff like that. So it's very much a nod to that. But I really love that illustration. It's kind of fun. So I don't know. I'm gonna figure out something, and I think we've been talking a lot about like some of the stuff that spins out of this project. Like this really for me has really given me the freedom to do so many things. I was talking to my buddy Chip yesterday back and forth about this, and he was like, oh, you need to do this with it and this with it and this with it. And I love the idea that for right now, it's a very personal thing. It's what I'm sharing exclusively with you all via Patreon. But then down the road, there's possibilities for doing other things with it. You know, whether I do it as a hardcover collected edition via Kickstarter or something like that. And I think and I really want to encourage you as patrons, as people that I really value your opinions on this. I might ask a couple times, like, what your thoughts are. You know, I might use, you know, if you don't mind, use you as a test audience and say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. What do you think? And please, come on, comment on it, chime in. I want to hear your thoughts on it. You know, like, is this something that, because frankly, if you all are interested in it, then I think everybody else might kind of be too. Like, you're my direct audience. You're the people that care enough to consistently every month, you know, throw me a few bucks to support my whiskey habit. You know, but like you're the ones that interact directly with me, and I want you to be able to use that. So, you know, I'm going to ask some things about this project. Like, do we want it to be a hardcover? Do we want it to be a soft cover? Do we want it to be, you know, like there's things that I'm definitely I'm wanting to get your thoughts on, you know, and I'm going to be doing that along the way. I lost my train of thought, but I'm going to go back to another story, and I'm going to show you this one. So I did a quick writing sabbatical earlier this week. It was Monday and Tuesday, and then I left Wednesday. It was supposed to be just a pure writing sabbatical, but my youngest son Owen was like, I was in Riverton, which is like the next city over, or town, tiny little village over, really. I was staying in an Airbnb there for 2 nights and 3 days, and I came home because I forgot my pour over coffee stuff, and I really need coffee to focus. And my 10-year-old Owen was like, hey, can I hang out with you? Can I go back with you? And I couldn't say no. So I did that. So I had written all that day, and then that night he ended up hanging out with me. And then I took him back the next day, and then my 15-year-old was like, hey, Owen went, can I go tonight? And I was like, okay, yes, you can go. Yeah. So, but I had a fantastic experience of writing a little bit during those times and getting some really good stuff done, but then also hanging out with my sons, which is absolutely worth it. Wednesday morning, I got to write for about 3 hours while my son snored on the couch. It was fine. You know, each night I kind of carved out a little time, but this short story actually came out of being there. It's less. It literally started with me with this. Okay, so I don't know if you're familiar with TikTok cats. Kit Kats. There's these cats that when the tail moves and then their eyes move. So this was very much a story that you'll see the whole story when there's sound effects and sort of dialogue-ish stuff going on. It's a 2-page story. The first page is just the cat, just focusing on the cat, and then doing things. And was a very much an experiment in being inspired by my environment and then wanting to tell a weird story out of that. And I think that's part of the joy of this project, of the hauntology stuff. It's an opportunity for me to tell stories the way that I want to, and they come very fast. I think Amber and Lori and Ivy especially have all been kind of bombarded with me going, oh, wait a minute, I got this new idea. I got this, and kind of being like my constant friends, my sounding boards for this stuff. Me going, Amber gets a new one tonight. Amber actually gets me kind of saying, hey, I wrote this new crazy story this afternoon, longhand. Amber writes mostly longhand and everything, and I was kind of teasing her, maybe Thursday, about it, that like I write everything. I'll do an outline, but like I write everything mostly. Even my advanced outlines I write on my computer, but I actually wrote one that's like several pages. And I wrote it in my notebook because I wanted to experience it the way that she does. I wanted to do it exactly like, and it sucks. It really, I hate it. I hate, my brain works faster than my hand does. And I'm like writing something and I'm like, that's not how you spell that. Oh my God. You've seen, now, I think you've seen Haster additional material. The additional material for Kingdom of Dust and Bone comes out Monday. But you'll see again my this is the notebook I write in. It's like Lori started on the bullet journal thing. She uses bullet journals. I have so many friends that do, but I can't use it as a proper bullet journal. I just kind of pick and choose my favorite things from it. But you saw the Haster stuff as the bonus features. You saw me writing out the dialogue. You saw these as thumbnails. You know how that goes. So each story that I do, here's stuff for the shaft. I'm writing out dialogue. I'm doing thumbnails in this, but I really don't usually write anything more than maybe dialogue out. Like Monday after Monday, here is just the dialogue beats from that. And definitely this new thing, the Kit Kat short story, I wrote kind of longhand, but not even that much. But this, the package, this new one, I wrote longhand just to make Amber laugh, I think, is ultimately what it really was. But I kind of love that. I don't know. Does anybody have any questions or thoughts on anything before I probably wrap up pretty quickly? But anything?
Kind of wanted to say something about Haster.
Yeah.
I know you said that Haster was about, that sort of loneliness, but the thing that it struck me was that it really felt to me like it was about secrets and about no matter how intimate your relationship is with someone, you never really know them and what's really going on in their lives and in their heads. And that, to me, from the horror perspective, is always one of the things that hits the hardest as a sort of horror twist of you never really know the people around you. No matter how well you think you do, you can't. And that twists on you sometimes.
I agree. I think that there is, I think that we all have a very internal life and the way that we process things and things that we think about. And I think a lot about masks, the masks that we wear. You have a way that you can be with certain people. And then as you go, your public persona is different than the persona that you have with friends. You just a little bit. And like I'm not even talking about people being terrible or monsters or anything like that. I'm literally talking about just the truth. We live in a time right now more than ever where you really have to be cautious about political conversation or religious conversation. Your beliefs, in a way, you have to both speak out loudly for things you believe in and stand up for it. But then you also have to have real conversations with those people that are important to you to have those conversations with. And in some ways, I think actually, for me, Haster is almost about that. It's about the reality and the truth of who you are and what you can share. It almost becomes a statement about politics in a way, right? Like you can't really necessarily say, my mother and her husband are different politically aligned than I am, and there's things that I can't share with them. There's masks, and I don't particularly wear a mask with them, but there are things that I can't share. There are truths that I can't get at. And I love the idea that, like, one of my favorite things in each of these stories is trying to say that this is a story that's about one thing, and then having it be about a whole other thing. And I think that Haster's really maybe out the gate the one that really says that in the best way. It was a very, very important story to me. In a time where people are being marginalized right and left, it was very important to me to have a story that was told about a gay man. I don't know that we often enough get stories that are from the point of view, and we're getting, like, I like to think we're getting better. We're trying to get better. Like, we're trying to tell stories from different points of view, but I'm a pretty straight white guy, but I want to tell stories about things and add perspectives and add things for a broader audience. And that was important to me. And I mean, thank you, Eric. I love that you're reading these things and seeing they're genre stories. They're such genre stories. It's literally, it ends with a Lovecraftian monster, right? But it's about more. And I think that the fact that you're seeing more in that and you're looking in and taking those things is the most important thing. And that means the world to me. So thank you. Yeah, I don't know, anything else?
Just one more kind of question with that story of, I was, and reading it again, I was wondering does he sneak out multiple times, or is this a final time that he's leaving his family and kind of it's a bye?
One of the things that I love about these short stories is that I'm never telling you the beginning of a story. I think I may have mentioned it to you whenever we talked in the last cocktail hour, the one-on-one cocktail hour. There's a Joe Hill story about this guy. I think it's a census taker or something. But he goes, I'm going to mess it up, but basically he goes to a house and he feels that something is wrong. And something is wrong with the guy that he's talking to. And the guy opens the door and says, "No, come in." And then the character, the point of view character, the census taker, basically is like, "Okay," and steps through. And then the guy closes the door, and that's the last page. And I was literally so angry when I read that. I was so mad. I was like, "Hill, how can you do this to me, you bastard?" But the truth of it is that he gave us this moment, this glimpse. And with these stories, I really wanted to say, I'm not telling you page 1, and I'm not even telling you necessarily page 20. I'm telling you pages 14 through 17. And if I do it right, which maybe I did, maybe I didn't, I'm willing to take that risk, it doesn't really matter what came before and what came after. And I love that you're asking me that question, because that means, both of you thought about this story beyond the thing that you saw. You asked questions about what came before, what came after, what is the deeper meaning and the feeling behind this thing. And that's beautiful to me. I think that something, pulling back the curtain a little bit to answer your question, I think that if you look at this and you say there are 100 pages of this story, this may be page 90 of 100, okay? And something called to him and had been calling, and he gave in and he gave of himself. I mean, and like, look, that giving yourself to a dark god is not a good thing. Like, hey, don't do that. Don't. That's a bad idea. This thing's gonna eat you. Aster's not gonna, this is gonna go badly. But for him, based on his internal monologue, based on where he's processing it, this is the greatest thing that he could do. This is the culmination of him. I wouldn't do that. I don't want to get eaten by some tentacled crazy thing. But he felt that call and had felt it and was being pulled towards it. And I think that this moment that we see is finally him giving into it. Finally, and I love the idea that like on the next page, what if he walks in and he's in this thing's thrall? What if he looks up at it and sees it for what it is, and it's not beautiful, it's terrible? That's the reality of it. But I don't know if in this instance I want to examine that. I don't know if I necessarily want to say this is that reaction, this is what happens. I want you to wonder that, and we can all extrapolate out of that where it goes. But I think it's going to be a thing that's going to happen throughout these stories, and I would love. I'm not going to do these talks monthly necessarily. I'm just going to do them every once in a while. I'm going to do them, like maybe quarterly. I don't know, but I appreciate you all, and I want to do these and be able to like kind of continue a dialogue and have fun with it. I know we'll have different people you know, we have 30 patrons now. That's fantastic. I'm absolutely honored to have that many. You know, I'd like to get more. I'm greedy. I don't know, but you know, you're my core group. You're the people I interact with, and so I want to be able to have these. I think, you know, I'm doing another, you know, like the regular monthly cocktail hours that are going to dive deeper into stuff and be deeper conversations. But I love the idea that I can tell these stories and that we can talk about them a little bit. And I love the idea that, you know, and in fact, I would encourage you, anytime that I'm doing the special features, the bonus features for this thing, if you have questions, if you have thoughts, if you have, frankly, if there's something that you're like, hey, you know, I love the time-lapse videos, I love the scripts, can you add more commentary or whatever it is, like, just ask and I'll do that. Like that's something, you know, I'm kind of rotating out how I do things. One of the hard things is always, generally when we're putting these things together and Amber's, you know, like scanning stuff and uploading stuff and doing all this stuff very, very graciously. She's always like, you need to write this thing. And I'm like, I'm drawing, hold on a minute. Like, let me stop what I'm doing. So it's always a little bit ridiculous. But like, I'm happy to add extra stuff. And I'm happy to add extra stuff for you, because it's fun. And ultimately, I love the idea that I'm having this kind of conversation. I'm having it with people that I enjoy talking to, and we can, you know, spend a little bit of a Saturday afternoon talking about silly shit. So it's been an hour, and today is June 20th. It's my brother's birthday. My baby brother. He's 2.5 years younger than I am. He's an old man now. But today's his birthday, and so we're gonna go grill burgers and make some drinks and do that with him. But you know, Amber, Mark, Steve, Eric, Erica, Ivy, Lori, thank you all so much for joining me on this. I had several people that, you know, this was a short notice thing. I had people that that were like, shit, I can't do it. You know, I'm sorry, I've got to work today, or I've got plans or whatever. I'm going to do this again. Please join me again. But thank you all for coming on and doing this. I appreciate you.
Thanks for having me, Jeremy.
Yeah.
Nice meeting everybody else.
Take care.
Nice to meet you too.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Be
Thanks,
safe.
everybody. Appreciate you. See you later. Bye.
Bye.